The Greensboro Contemporary Jewish Museum is a decentralized and experimental institution created in the context of questions we asked ourselves about contemporary Jewish museums, about Jewish life in the South, and about the Jewish community of Greensboro. What can serve as an emerging model of a contemporary Jewish museum in the United States today? How can small Jewish communities throughout the southern United States claim the same cultural agency to create a Jewish museum as that of their metropolis counterparts in San Francisco, New York, or Los Angeles? What would that representation look like through material and other cultural production? What could this museum offer to the discourse on contemporary Jewish life in Greensboro and the southern U.S. region? These questions have formed a framework through which the Greensboro Contemporary Jewish Museum responds to the vacuum of contemporary Jewish art museums in the southern U.S. region, while simultaneously offering Jewish artists a safe and inviting cultural space to explore all aspects of their identity through contemporary art practice and public dialogue. The inaugural exhibition of the Greensboro Contemporary Jewish Museum, called 36+2, was sponsored by the UNC Greensboro Jewish Studies Department in collaboration with UNCG's College of Visual and Performing Arts, History Department, and University Libraries, with community partners such as the Greensboro Jewish Federation, Elsewhere Museum, Scuppernong's Books, and the B'nai Shalom Day School. Focusing on objects as agents of faith or identity, 36+2 shine a light on everyday objects that facilitate contemporary Jewish identity in its varied forms. Contributors, Jewish residents of Greensboro, North Carolina, were prompted to share about a personal object imbued with significance to them as a Jew. Moving beyond the universally identifiable objects to the particular, these household objects, their stories, and the stories of their keepers are the content for a living archive that makes up the opening exhibition of the Greensboro Contemporary Jewish Museum, 36+2. Some of these objects include this one, from 4-year-old Ezra, who explained, "It's called a tiger's eye. It was a grandma's rock, something that I've had that was hers. It's special because my mom likes it a lot too." Or this submission from Ellis, a stellar needlepoint pillow created by his grandfather. Or from Rebecca, who contributed a Tupperware container. When describing its significance to her as a Jew, she spoke of how when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, people in her Jewish community helped her immensely by bringing her food in Tupperware containers. Or from Sam Cohn, who submitted an ethical will from one of his ancestors. You can listen to him reading it here.
You may shed tears because you are leaving your parents' house, your father, brother, and sisters, relatives, friends, and your native land, but dry your tears, because you may have the sweet hope of finding a second home abroad and a new country where you will not be deprived of all political and civil rights, and where the Jew is not excluded from the society of all other men and subject to the severest restriction. But you will find a real homeland where you as a human being may claim all human rights and human dignity.
Throughout the exhibition, the UNCG Art Truck, in collaboration with UNCG Libraries, visited various locations and interviewed Jewish community members about their sacred objects. In addition to the exhibition, there was numerous other public programs that took place around 36+2, including a baking workshop, a Shabbat meal, a Havdalah and poetry reading, a writing workshop exploring different aspects of spiritual and religious practices through creative writing, and a Greensboro Contemporary Jewish Museum curated book selection located inside of Scuppernong's Books in Greensboro. Since the 36+2 exhibition and subsequent programs, the Greensboro Contemporary Jewish Museum has been actively hosting Passover and Shavuot baking workshops, co-hosting Radical Seders in collaboration with Elsewhere Museum, and lecturing at places like the Big Bold Jewish Climate Fest and the Greensboro History Museum. Our next initiative, the GCJM Social Practice Institute, is an exciting and ambitious next evolution of the Jewish Museum that will train Jewish identifying artists in the southern region of the United States in the methodology and pedagogy of socially engaged art practice alongside a curriculum of Jewish thought leadership. Each of these artists will then utilize this training to create socially engaged projects within their own cities and communities. This project will establish a network of Jewish cultural creatives in the South, which will aid in fostering interdisciplinary collaboration, provide social and professional connections for Jewish creatives, and will boost community building among artists. In addition, this initiative will expand the Greensboro Contemporary Jewish Museum's service to the Greensboro arts and Jewish community by presenting the work of Southern-based Jewish artists to the Greensboro public in brick-and-mortar and online platforms. And finally, it will culminate with the proliferation of the Greensboro Contemporary Jewish Museum's creative influence into cities throughout the southern region. To learn more about the past, present, and future of the Greensboro Contemporary Jewish Museum, visit greensborocjm.org or contact us at greensborocjm@gmail.com.